So, the components of the party. We need to try to understand how parties are actually organized. All parties are broken down in America. Our parties are broken into three parts. The first part is called party and the electorate. That's you and I. If you are a person that claims to be a Republican, claims to be a Democrat, then you are party and the electorate. This is obviously by far the largest part of our party because that's just people. I guess the problem with party and the electorate is they're not always very mobilized. They do not always vote, which if that's the tool of the party is to win elections, that's a hard thing for the party. The other parts of the party is because they're relying on party the electorate to take an action in order to accomplish what the other parts of the party want to accomplish. There's not a membership fee. There's not a requirement of doing something. Like you can just call yourself a Republican or call yourself a Democrat or call yourself a Libertarian, but you don't actually have to ever do anything. And so, like any kind of group, if there's not much at stake for you, it's harder to mobilize you. The more you have at stake, the more that you're required to do or committed to do or charged to do, then the more likely you are to take action. So that's probably one of the reasons that people don't vote as much in our country, is because that's the tool of something that we don't compel people to. The next part, government. These are the people who get elected to office. They're the face of the party. It's your governor, your mayor, your city council member, president, speaker of the house. It's those high-ranking officials that we kind of they become the face of the party. So if Donald Trump gets elected, he will become the face of the Republican Party. If Bernie Sanders gets elected, he will become the face of the Democratic Party. I swear 6 months ago, those words would not have come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Like, I
can't.
It's a
really scary thought.
I just feel like I'm in this weird parallel universe where things are happening that it's just.
Because we were talking about this morning in public, and so here's our two options. Either, like, Donald Trump is the Republican nominee, or no one gets enough to, like, have all of the delegates. Which is really scary either way, because one has never happened, and one really probably shouldn't happen.
I thought that was a joke.
Like, everyone's like, oh, that's a good one.
We thought it was like Kanye.
Like, these nuts
Like
ran for
Kanye
freaking president.
2020? Yeah, there we go.
We thought it was
Okay, the last part is party as an organization. Party as an organization are people whose job, either paid or volunteer, is to run the party. So they run it like they're the student council officers. I mean, well, they're not the officers. They're the worker bees. So we have there are Collin County Democrats and Collin County Republicans. Well, they have to have meetings, so they need somebody to secure meeting places. They need somebody to help maintain their website. They need someone to answer the phones. They need somebody to help to formulate local conventions. Like, there are all those things that have to be done. So there is a national party committee, there is a state party committee, and then there are all these local party committees. So you need people to do those jobs. The people at the very top, like, they're paid positions. So if you're the chair of the Republican or the Democratic National Committee, that's a very prestigious thing. You kind of get, like, voted into it. You serve that position for this defined amount of time, and a lot of them are former politicians or sometimes they're people that you might know, sometimes they're people that you don't know necessarily, but they're people that really, like, run the party day to day to day. A lot of the other people are going to be volunteers. It's people that just they're committed, they care about the party, they want something particular to happen, and so they give of their time to run that party, but that might not actually be their job, like their paid job. Okay? So on your paper it says, from which component of the party do the key spokespeople come from? So when you think about who speaks for the party, which of these elements is going to speak for the party? Party and government. Awesome. Why?
They're like the face of the.
That's who we know, right? And those are the people. Do any of you know who the chair of the Democratic National Committee is? Nor do I, right? Like, I'd have to look it up because it's not something, unless that person does something that is newsworthy, you don't hear about it because they're doing, like, the grunt work of the party. They're organizing conventions. They're not the people that the media typically picks up on. So it's really party and government that speaks for the party. That's why right now the established part of the Republican Party is absolutely freaking out, because if Trump gets a nomination, he does in fact become the spokesperson for the Republican Party, which means that their established way of thinking is definitely going to change. Okay? All right. You know what? Out to the side, you guys, we need to make, I should have added this question on there. When we talk about the components of the party, make your party organizations at every level. So when we talk about party as an organization, there are local party committees, there are state party committees, and there are national party committees. So when we talk about party as an organization, there are local party committees, state party committees, and national party committees. And I guess the one thing for you to know about that too is that it is not hierarchical. The national party committee doesn't control the state party committee, which would seem kind of weird because you'd think, well, if that's where the platform is ultimately approved, that's what the party's going to stand for. But because of federalism and because of how large and spread out we are and regional, like we said, Zoe goes to the Republican National Committee, convention, they agree to a platform, woohoo, she comes back and she's like, you're not going to believe what they agreed to. Collin County Republicans are still going to do what Collin County Republicans want to do. And so it's a weird disconnect because that platform is super important and it's the thing that they work to kind of try to bring them together, but it is not hierarchical, it is very disconnected, and it's very much like federalism. It kind of mirrors what our government looks like. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let's go on and look at what parties actually do. There in your paper you have a list of the party functions. All I'm going to do is walk you through and explain what they are. Most of them are exactly what they sound like. And then in a minute, I'm going to ask you guys to go to the website and actually look for some examples of these things happening. So you don't necessarily need to write anything down now, you just need to listen, and then I'll give you an opportunity, okay? So one thing that parties do in our country is they nominate people. Right now we're going through that process. You said that you went and voted yesterday? Okay, so you contributed to this function because you went and you expressed your will as a voter. Next Tuesday, all over the country in like 12 different states, that's going to happen, where voters are going to go and they're going to express their will. The party's going to tally those up, and they're going to use that information then to potentially and eventually nominate somebody to represent them. Not just for president, that's for gubernatorial elections, it's for Senate elections, it's for House of Representatives. Every single race where there's more than one person, the party's saying, this is the person we're going to hold up. So while you went and voted, there's a lot of people right now that don't necessarily care who the party picks, they just wait for the party to pick. And they're waiting for the party to give them a message and say, this is the person we want you to choose. If you like us better than the other party, choose this person. And many people will then just default and choose that person. The other thing they do is they raise money. You know, we've established that money is a necessary kind of part of the system, and while there are lots of controls on it now, they still do serve to fundraise. And then they're going to go out and campaign. So let's say that Trump gets the nomination. The party, even though that might be a disconnect to them and not who they want, the party is still going to actively campaign for the person that they nominate. They're going to get out there and they're going to do everything they can. So you're going to have these like simultaneous campaigns. You're going to have the Trump for President campaign, and you're going to have the Republican National Committee campaigning. You're going to have Texas Republican Committee. You're going to have local committees, and they're all going to be serving to campaign because they want their candidate to win over the other candidate winning. Parties serve to provide us information. This is simply being a conduit of information about what the government's doing, what the issues are, what we care about. This probably used to be way more important than it is today. People used to rely on parties to educate them about tax policy and foreign policy and initiatives. Why do you think we don't rely on the parties as much for this anymore? Well, the parties are very biased. Do you need the parties for information? Yeah. I mean, media is so prevalent in our lives that we don't have a problem of getting information. We have a problem of too much information. So parties, they try to do this, but this is certainly not what keeps them in place. Parties serve to mobilize people. Their objective is to be an outlet for civic participation. They want people to get off their couch and do something. More than just vote. They want you to come to a rally. They want you to wear a shirt. They want you to promote ideas. They want you to put a bumper sticker on your car. They want you to talk and participate. It is an opportunity to become part of your community. This is the one that the name doesn't tell you what it is, okay? Parties serve a brokerage function. Think about all of the people this summer that are going to go to Ohio and go to the Republican National Committee. You know, we learned about a typical Republican, but that doesn't mean that everybody there is going to be a typical Republican. You're going to have Jewish people there. You're going to have Muslim people there. You're going to have women. You're going to have people of every ethnicity. You're going to have people of every socioeconomic status. You're going to have all these different people. And so while they've been chosen as a Republican delegate, because of those varying demographic factors, we're going to have a lot of different opinions. So the objective of the party is to broker that into something that the party can rally around and be unified. Not everybody's going to agree. I mean, like, to give you examples, like, I've really seen how the Republican Party has kind of changed, like on the issue of same-sex marriage. You know, if you look back like 8 years ago, what the Republican Party platform said about it versus what it said in 2012 versus what it will probably say in 2016, because things have changed. One of the things that the party can do, though, is they can very quickly like rally people around particular issues that will bring people together. What do you think is one of the biggest issues for why people like Republicans right now and not Democrats? Big policy issue that people are like, ooh, I don't like that. It could be guns, abortion, taxes, or Obamacare. Like those are, you know, you say Obamacare and immediately that makes people have a feeling. The Republicans have done a phenomenal job of capitalizing on that feeling and brokering and bringing a lot of people together who may have even been Obama supporters in 2008, but then they weren't because they didn't like that one policy. And that's kind of like that middle group of people that they're trying to target. Okay? And then the last one is going to be that parties govern. Everything in our country is set up to run on party lines. When we have an election in 2016, the Republicans have a majority in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Every leadership position in Congress is controlled by a Republican. We have a Republican Speaker of the House. We have a Republican Majority Leader. We have Republican chairs. We have a Republican Majority Whip. And it's like that in both houses. And when you learn about Congress, you're going to see that makes all the difference in the world. Because if your party is in control, you control the path of legislation. So in 2016, let's just pretend and say the Democrats get control of the Senate. That means that every leadership position in the Senate will change. Like every single one of them. Same thing would happen in the House. So then they would control the path of legislation. That is huge. In our Congress today, I mean, I haven't looked it up recently. Last I checked, there were 2 people that were not Republican or Democrat. So even if you're not really a Republican or Democrat, you either call yourself that or you have to pick a side, because if you don't pick a side, then you don't get to do anything. This is probably one of the biggest reasons parties don't go away, because they control government. They don't necessarily control us, but they control government. Okay? All right, here's what we're going to do. We'll have to start it after lunch, but I'll go ahead and explain. I want you guys to, you'll just use your phones. You're going to go to either the Republican National Committee website or the Democratic National Committee website. And you just have to put in RNC or DNC, and it will take you straight to their website. I want you to look for examples of these things happening. So look on their website and see if you can find the brokerage function happening, or if you can find the fundraising action happening. And then on your paper, just put those examples down. And if y'all want to just kind of divide it up and show each other, and we just want to make sure that we can see those things in action. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, but we've got lunch in like 1 minute, so we'll just do it after lunch.